Just simple food for thought before I get this video started. When it comes to these rings, Mandarin, he's known for these rings, even though these rings have technically been used by other beings. Because there's going to be times in this video when I bring up other faces, and it's not going to be necessarily Mandarin, and they use this ring for other stuff. Just know it should apply for the Mandarin I'm going over in this video. It shouldn't really matter because he has complete mastery over the rings. It just makes sense. He came across these rings in newer comics. He says they were a gift from the stars as a boy. He got these ridiculously powerful rings, tested them to see what they can do, and all else was history. And throughout this video, you're going to understand how he states, I can control everything. And you're going to see me bring up Iron Man a lot in this video. He's always matching Iron Man. Yep. Hope you all enjoy this, though. That's just food for thought when I bring these rings back up in this video before anything even gets started. You know, when you think of the Marvel character known as Mandarin, more than likely you think of, oh, he's powerful because of rings. Oh, yeah, I'm not actually talking about this Mandarin, even though he has his own variant of rings, technically, in the live-action version. But similar to the movies, even though I'm not talking about the movie, when similar to the movies, Mandarin is a martial arts fighter, but also uses rings. But this isn't the only reason he's powerful, just for those that are wondering, oh, he's only strong because of gear. No, not necessarily. Because in his lore, he actually considers himself one of the best karate master ever to live. Marvel Comics Mandarin, let's talk about him. See, in Marvel Comics, there's a lot of ways a character can be strong. Like your inner life force, like they talk about it here, like Iron Fist is usually somebody you think of when you think of Chi. It's a life force that surrounds all living things, apparently. It's kind of like Dragon Ball Z on why the characters can shoot energy blasts. This concept applies in Marvel too. It's a thing you see when you mix up with Kung Fu type characters in comics or martial arts fighters in comics. Mandarin's one of those beings that basically joins the Iron Fist Club. It's similar to how other martial arts fighters like Shang-Chi can use Chi type of techniques to like hit extra hard. Like, I'm not playing when I say he's an overall warrior. Like, you can just see the weapons in the background. He has full-blown sparring sessions or fight sessions. But yeah, he can just straight full-blown fight, guys. But like the other characters I mentioned, like Iron Fist and Shang-Chi and stuff, without necessarily spamming the rings, he is confirmed to be a chi manipulator type character, saying he has focused his chi beyond the power granted me by these rings. It's talked about how Mandarin is an exceptional athlete, swordsman, and martial artist. Even without artificial amplification, he can crack steel with his bare hands, possibly due to chi manipulation and stuff like that, making himself superhuman, similar to Shang-Chi and Iron Fist type characters. When we add on top of the rings, it just makes everything worse or more amplified. It should be a no-brainer that he's skilled with a blade. We've seen him use a blade, swords, one of the best fighters in Marvel, Black Widow. We see him even throw away hand ninjas. I don't even know what y'all trying to do. Mandarin even believes he's a better martial arts fighter than Captain America. It kind of makes sense for him to be a good fighter because he's kind of been around for a while. He spent a lot of his time since he's been around for a while improving things as time went by, gaining positions of power. And that's when he came across these 10 rings. But yeah, other than these rings, which I'm gonna get back to in a bit, he's actually pretty smart. I mean, you gotta be smart when you control over 700 various companies. Like, he has some very interesting tech. Like, he was constantly a threat for Iron Man, of course. So, yeah, back in the day, he would have stuff that would trap Iron Man to where you couldn't move and stuff, like different tech, not even counting just the ring stuff. The ray is so powerful that my transmitter jets can't resist it. We've seen him do stuff to people's own technology to where they can he'll make them hit themselves. Teleportation device, neuralizer, ray, cancels out the circuited power of your costume for Iron Man. Like, he had stuff to counter Iron Man, confirmed to be one of the world's greatest scientific geniuses. He's always shown science in his way into stuff. I'm not gonna lie, this will be pretty cool to look at it in live action. Like, he has his own dragon fortress. To if you try to sneak on, touch without permission, you would get zapped. It has defenses. It's armored up and it's made for battle, of course. So it has a self-repair system. So if they do break pieces of it apart, it'll start healing itself. Guns of all sorts to shoot you from afar. Missiles, bullets, all the things you would think of a fortress should have. Self-defense measures, you know. Trying to hack into it isn't the best idea. It'll counter hacking type stuff, or one could argue technopathy. On top of the fact, it's almost like an extension of himself. Like, he literally controls everything in this ship. Like, you probably don't want to fight him in this fortress because he controls everything in this particular environment. Like, fighting him in this place, like Iron Man in this particular situation, it's just not the greatest idea to fight him here. And in older comics, he technically had a space station. He's even got this device known as the Killer Satellite that can blast destructive energy beams from it. He had this jet car he could utilize, wide variety of technology, like a variety of robots, weaponries, and vehicles. Yep, these robot reserves. Yep, he customly uses a force field generator of his own design. which can project an energy shield, help his durability out to block attacks. The thing about Mandarin, you might see a lot of different outfits throughout this video. It's because of the different adventures and the different times he has improved as time went by. I mean, he is a descendant of Genghis Khan, a conqueror type character, so that makes sense. That's why his former alias was Gene Khan. Similarly to how you see him get different outfits evolving throughout the years, the same can be said for him getting stronger through his empire, his businesses, and just his overall power in general getting stronger over time. I mean, why wouldn't he improve? He's talked about how he's more dangerous, more powerful than ever before. I've already brought this up, but this kind of implies he gets stronger too by improving his chi and stuff without just relying on the rings. Oh yeah, but when it comes to the rings, the thing that pretty much makes him really versatile, this is the thing he's also mastered when it comes to wielding these weapons. This is like a really big part of his character. I mean, he's so obsessed with these rings. I remember there was this one time he actually got the rings embedded in his spine. Like when it comes to using his power, they don't have to necessarily be on your fingers for you to use its power. Like, there's people that can use that power with just wearing them on their ear and stuff. So when it comes to his versatile abilities, being able to punch really hard, stuff like that, these rings do enhance him. I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, even without him, he's still a ridiculously good martial artist and a chi manipulator regardless of it. But he will use all of this stuff in conjunction with the rings being his standard gear to help him punch harder and just be a threat in general. But long story short, these rings basically give him almost, one could say, every power you can think of. And it's almost like, depending on what the writers want to do with a certain story, they would just add a new power to the ring without no explanation sometimes. Like, there's actually powers that, like, and this page explains what the different rings can do and the different versatile abilities you can do, but there's even comics that do stuff that's not necessarily on this page when it comes to powers. So it does stuff more than what this page says still. But yeah, just to confirm the versatility, like the handbook talks about how you can use ice blast. Oh, I'm talking about absolute zero type of code. Yep, do mind control type stuff. Like in this occasion, he can mind wipe you. And he can make illusions to full smart beings. Similarly, how he can go in your mind with the rings and stuff. He just has a crazy amount of willpower. Usually warriors in Marvel, they have a crazy amount of willpower. So that's like usually the ultimate counter to mind control. He can resist mind control type beings. Electric blast, electricity manipulation. What is he, Storm? He looked like he was able to control the weather here, it seems. It looks like. Or the lightning bolt. Flames. Fire described as hot as a star. When it comes to his flame manipulation, it can make solar flares, electromagnetic pulses. Yeah, these rings can just set you on fire with a thought, really, without even necessarily shooting like a blast. Like, yeah, light, it can release different forms on the electromagnetic spectrum. Using the white light ring, he can create a gravity field around his armor in this particular situation. This ring, not only white light, but absolute darkness. It can absorb all light within it. With this darkness manipulation on how you can make a shadow creature out of darkness, tendrils out of darkness to grab you physically. You get what I'm saying? Shadows, tendrils. You can even theorize he can make a black hole or something with darkness manipulation. It depends on how you want to analyze it. This ability comes in handy, wouldn't you agree? With one of these rings, he got a disintegration beam, wind manipulation beam that causes vortexes. Also, this is, one could say, the reason why he can fly. Yeah, not a bluff, full-blown flight. Telekinesis type stuff. This could be wind manipulation, being able to sling people. You can kind of say you got telekinesis if you can use the wind to shoot people upward and stuff. You know, sound manipulation or sound nullification. Something else these rings can also do. And like, he just straight up full blown has concussive force type blast. It's stated that the rings absorb cosmic energy. Similar to how Darkseid can curve his beams, Mandarin can curve his beams. It would be weird if he had concussive blast and didn't have some shielding. Of course, this ring has shieldings he can put up to block attacks, and he does not need to be conscious. Like, when you hit him, you're not going to hit his raw face, especially with these rings. They're going to automatically make him extra durable with shielding of some sort. You know what I mean? Because he got hit by Quicksilver, super speed beings that can hit at the speed of light, he barely felt it. So it lets you know that, yeah, he has some shielding. You can't just blitz him before he puts his shield up or something. They even say he wouldn't be able to face us without some type of force field. So let you know he always has some type of force field up. And he can rearrange substance or speed up or slow down their movement. Oh man, they're very versatile. Even in their handbook, they pretty much name these rings Mandarin's rings. And they pretty much reiterate everything I said about the different abilities he can use here. Matter rearranger, to arrange something from a gas, liquid, or solid form. Manipulate stuff on a subatomic level. Like, examples could be like how in this particular situation, Mandarin made these statues fight Iron Man. So he could give himself some breathing room. Or turn air into cement. Can turn beings into stone. Talking about, I want these rings of the Mandarins. Shall I keep them? Like, other beings have used these rings and they say they believe they can turn beings as iron into gold. So something like this Mandarin should be able to use, since he's the one that's always using these rings the most. He literally turns sand into glass, then freezing it solid. And this is one of the reasons why I say this is just his power, because even if you somehow get the rings off of him, it's still technically his power, even though it's a gear, because He can control them from over vast distances away, mentally monitor and prevent others from using them without his consent. It seems like the newer the comics get, they add new stuff. When it comes to these rings having versatile abilities, these rings could be part of the reason why he appears to have super speed. They talk about it here. They talk about how the ring can give you Quicksilver level speed, apparently, when other people are using it. This could also be the reason why he's getting stronger, because of the rings itself. Influence creates various forces that cause a body to undergo change, and the Remaker shatters and reimagines relationships on a subatomic level. Winds up and warps the air itself, can appear ghostly, and it still has similar stuff like I already mentioned, like the darkness, creates world upon world of illusionary fable. Like, this is newer stuff it can do, but also similar stuff like lightning, contains the miniature heart of a star and scorches the air before it, implying fire manipulation like I already mentioned, can create urges and obsessions. In this case, they talk about some of the rings can incinerate you, similar stuff, can disguise yourself, lightning, you know, a lot of the similar stuff. I mean, who needs super speed when you can teleport like these rings can? Mandarin can also teleport. Stated that Mandarin's a teleporter. It adds up with the ring stuff. On top of the teleportation, he just has full-blown super speed, one could say. Like, when other people use the ring, this right here isn't necessarily Mandarin, but when other beings use the ring, they can do time dilation. Technically, this should mean Mandarin should be able to do time dilation to move at super speed, one could say. When other beings use the ring, they can do this, so he should be able to do it too. Here, talking about the time dilation because of these rings. Like, no, I'm talking about point A, straight line speed to point B levels of speed he has. Like, in this occasion, he was 900 feet away, all these beings aiming at Mandarin. He's able to blitz this fast. Of course, in this particular situation, since he, the rings, how the rings can make him do a lot of different things, one could say this could be teleportation. Regardless of how you look at it, he can use teleportation or just raw speed to kind of close a distance from point A to point B really fast, because all you see is this happen, and they're looking like, what? And he literally looks like a blur. Everybody's asking, where is he? And that's when he pretty much blitzed everybody, turned them into stone and stuff, closing all that distance ridiculously fast. So, like, he's legitimately fast, either if it's teleportation or just raw speed. Beings that just use these rings in general, look at these hands, like the way they're drawn, it's implied super speed punches, like on some anime type stuff. Like, you look at all these hands in every direction with speed blitz. So there's heavy implications Mandarin can spam punches at you with absurdly fast hands like this if he just had to. You see what I'm saying? Let me get back to his speed in this video again, though. It would be weird if these rings didn't give you enhanced perception. When other beings use the ring, they can see beings that are in stealth mode. Not just his rings, but he has lenses that can help him see in the dark. He's allowed himself to become immune to gas. And did I mention it's kind of hard for him to kill him thanks to these rings and all the versatile abilities he can do. He can just straight up possess you. So if you miraculously kill him or he ends up dying, he will indeed live again and he will be reborn. So when it comes to Mandarin's raw muscle, you're not going to see him win any major weightlifting or lifting competitions or something because of his strength. That's not really the point, really. These rings and his chi manipulation kind of make all this physical strength stuff irrelevant, because in his lore, although they do say when it comes to his physicals, it's nothing special. When you put on the fact that he knows chi manipulation, like I've already mentioned, he's a martial arts fighter, knows different weapons, has tons of fighting experience using different weapons, and then he has these overpowered rings. Even in his old lore, he's pretty much always had. They even talk about how they have near limitless energy when it comes to the energy source. It's even stated here that these gems contain unlimited energy. You see what I mean? It's like a constant theme when it comes to these rings. I mean, he's a heavy energy manipulator type character, blast power, versatile energy manipulator type character. So yeah, he is very versatile. He can blast you from miles away and stuff. One could say he can amp his kicks, strikes thanks to the rings, or just one could say his chi manipulation with like energy, like all that stuff. That's why I say his muscles don't really matter. He can just strike hard via energy manipulations or imbuing his legs. But let's be honest, he could probably lift a lot of weight if he wanted to amplify himself with these rings based on all the stuff these rings can do. He should be able to lift a lot too if he really wanted to. But let's analyze him further on how strong is he. There's multiple ways you can be strong. He's strong in a way to where he can hit you hard via amping his punches up with energy and stuff like that, or just straight up full-blown just energy projection or blast power. Hitting hard with blunt concussive hits, him amping himself with energy around his fist, or just blast power. Like, there's a lot of ways you could be strong or how that stuff can be measured. Yeah, he can strike hard enough to where he can split this metal bar, for example. I would like to add that it doesn't look like he's amplifying himself, but he could be. But it doesn't look like he's amplifying himself with his rings here. Every time he amps himself with his ring, they're probably not going to mention it on panel every single time, so some of these are going to be assumptions. When it comes to iron and metal, we've seen him break or split with chops. So right off gate, I think it's fair to say this shouldn't be a shock to you with his punching power or strikes. This is kind of standard Marvel Street tier stuff. This shouldn't be a shock, Mandarin. After all this stuff I've already said he can do, is this really a shock? Him having the punches or strikes to punch through brick walls, concrete, steel, stuff like that. he can punch through or chop through. Stone he can kick through, can chop through pillars. It was even stated out of his mouth he can split boulders into barehanded. I mentioned this earlier, but everything he can dish out, he can take. Like humongous explosions that can easily blow away buildings. He can be right in the middle of and withstand that kind of stuff. This isn't Mandarin, for example, but it's the ring. He should be able to do this when it comes to atomizing heads. The same one goes for his blast power when it comes to atomizing boulders. Mandarin's got the blast power to where beings like Wolverine, he can literally blow the skin off of beings like Wolverine. Yeah, look at that face. When it comes to super soldier tier type characters, he can do hacksy stuff. Like, yeah, I wouldn't fight him because he can create a force field closing off your lungs. Honestly, one of the best ways to understand how hard he can hit or just blast with a combination of his chi manipulation, enhancing his strikes with his rings and stuff like that is his opponents he fights. I know it's hard for you to imagine a being that wears a battle suit in Marvel is a powerhouse in Marvel, but he actually is a powerhouse in Marvel. Mandarin's consistently giving Iron Man a threat. It's like a part of the narrative and lore. Iron Man is one of them beings that's making his armor more durable throughout the years, stronger throughout the years, improving everything as time goes by throughout the years. Iron Man has always been considered a powerhouse, even though Marvel themselves aren't the best when it comes to their hierarchies, because this list right here is goofy, for example. There has been implications even back in these earlier days, even though these shouldn't be taken as Bible. They list Iron Man, even in these older suits, as considered a heavy hitter, especially when he has a potent enough energy source and stuff like that. So this is going to give you consideration on how strong Mandarin would have to be by default. You're going to see him fighting Iron Man a lot throughout this video. Like in this occasion, we see him like battling different suits of Iron Man. Like these aren't the like greatest suits Iron Man's ever made, but like I said, even earlier suits were pretty strong. Punches and messes up Iron Man's chest plate here, like consistently giving Iron Man different suits the business, messing up the arm of a suit, full-blown slugfest in different suits for Iron Man, even uni-beams. He continues fighting after being blasted by this kind of stuff. In this occasion, he withstood a uni-beam here. Repulsor beams, we've actually seen him deflect away from Iron Man. These rings can legit make walls. He can make giant hands if he wishes because of matter manipulation. Look at this huge fortress he could just easily sink with his blast power. I mean, it's pretty much proven he can level a building when he can make building-like structures into giant fists he can punch with. He can just literally punch with his big hand constructs he can make out of the blue with matter manipulation. He can just punch buildings out of the way if he wanted. So yeah, he can quite literally summon stuff, like with his ring and stuff, make it come alive, that can tear down buildings. I mean, what are you supposed to do when he can animate a freaking mountain to fight you? Like he can literally summon a mountain, like make it fight for him. So in a way, you could say the mountains themselves is an extension of his power. So that pretty much proves he could like literally quake a mountain. I mean, he can literally summon a mountain and make a mountain an extension of his power and hit you with the force of a mountain. Basically, if he wants to, he can have a mountain fight for him, basically. So I'm pretty sure he could quake mountains and shatter mountains. You know, he can literally make them fight for him. I mean, his blast power, it adds up what I just said. His power shakes the mountains. He blasted with so much force. So yeah, it lets you know that this is not an exaggeration. It says his power shakes the mountains. And when you see how hard he got blasted, look at the mountains that shattered because of him blasting them through mountains. You know, they even say the force of his impact registers on seismographs as far away as California. This actually proves he can do more than just shake mountains. He can quake stuff that's 7,000 miles away, guys. This would almost be like more impressive blast power than shaking a city or leveling certain size cities with this kind of blast power. Blowing away multiple buildings would be easy if he can make stuff that's thousands of miles away like that feel the activity of his blast. Like, guys, let that sink in. Something 7,000 miles away. He blasted and stuff this far away was able to feel it, guys. Like, that's almost on some planetary stuff. Across the whole world, people feeling that blast. All because of this blast can be felt 7,000 miles away. I mean, this would kind of make some sense. I mean, they did state that these rings can tap into energy on a planetary scale. Yeah, I know this is vague, but like, you can make quakes across the world. I'm pretty sure his blast, especially with these rings energy blasts, they can have enough concussive force. Honestly, way worse than your standard nuclear bomb, if we're being honest. He can blast with that much force. His rings can crush the living laser in a force field. And the thing about it, this stuff makes a lot of sense considering if you watch my Iron Man videos, Iron Man is pretty freaking strong. Probably a lot stronger than you think. Check out my video about that. Yeah. And Mandarin's always like battling him, blasting him, winning against him. His rings can just do severe damage to Iron Man. Even if Mandarin's not the one fighting him, the rings can do damage to him. You know what I mean? His blasts can do rapid fire. These blasts can mess up even newer Iron Man armors and newer comics like the stealth suit. These rings using different elements. There's plenty of cases of him immobilizing Iron Man, giving Iron Man some serious issues. You're probably tired of me bringing up Iron Man, but like, guys, I want to hammer it home. These rings can even overload the Iron Man's armors or sensors. The rings make his stuff useless. He can create, like with the rings, of course, he can create shadow creatures that box it up. Like these rings themselves can create these kind of creatures, battling Iron Man type characters. Like it was like a literal kaiju type battle type thing. I want you guys to remember this Model 42, the suit. We've seen these rings being able to overload. We've seen Iron Man. We've seen this suit clash beams with Dr. freaking Doom. We see this suit is slugfesting with, and it's not like a short panel, like it's extended battles of Doom and Iron Man in this state fighting, getting hit by Dr. Doom and retaliating. I want you guys to really see this. This is what Mandarin's rings have to compete against. Powerhouses like Iron Man that can do this to Dr. Doom, guys. Like Doom had to actually dip out of this armor. This match was close. That's why I'm saying these rings can overwhelm these armors type like this. Dr. Doom is somebody that's a magic user too. So you telling me these rings are this strong? Let that stuff sink in. Gamma family beings, Hocus type beings, this armor itself can damage these type of beings with their blasts. This armor can make teen Gamma family members like a teen Abomination sleepy on the ground, guys. Like powerhouses. Like, you guys respect Iron Man yet? I mean, Gamma family members usually can box it out with each other. So we've seen him box it out with She-Hulk, a very top tier Gamma family member, I would say. And this Iron Man can hit so hard. Like this suit can actually send the real Abomination reeling. So yeah, Mandarin being able to give Iron Man these kind of issues, it would be kind of weird. Like with this, when it comes to these rings, being able to give Iron Man beings issues, it would be kind of weird if he couldn't destroy planetoids like the moon. Like this is just base bare bone minimum Marvel stuff at this point. Battling Iron Man this much, is this shocking to you, honestly? I mean, this is an Iron Man suit that can escape a black hole, guys. Mandarin's rings have to compete with beings like Iron Man that can do stuff like this. You see what I mean? It just lets you know what Mandarin's always competing with. I mean, think about it. He's matching Iron Man. Iron Man's one of the powerhouses in Marvel. These rings state to have near limitless energy. But yeah, they stated to have unlimited energy here. It just would be weird if he couldn't destroy planets like the rest of these. He believed with these rings, they'll make him the most powerful man in the world. He has blasts that can make Iron Man like breathe heavily, like kind of tired acting. There's been plenty of times where he's harmed Iron Man through the armor, because in this particular situation, it was heat. With his electric manipulation, he can paralyze his suit. This is not the only being he's paralyzed. Has electric blast that can shut down the Iron Man suit. He has ice that has paralyzed Iron Man. Like in this particular occasion with Iron Man, when they was fighting, it looks like he was like absorbing energy. It stated such power as he was only dreamed flows through Mandarin's fingers, flows into the 10 rings, the rings of power. And there's this like gargantuan explosion. No human mind can fully comprehend what was unleashed. Like it was bigger than mountains. Like, yeah. All this kind of shit lets you know how strong Mandarin is with these rings. Everywhere in the world felt it. Like, one could argue this shook the planet. Like, beings like Swamp Thing felt this crap. Thor, Spider-Man, Spider-Sense felt it. Everywhere in the world felt this. It was a big event. This happened when they fired all their power into the rings, amping the ring up to kind of make it go cataclysmic. It's moments like this that imply he could tremble the entire planet with his rings. Because he did this by accident in this particular situation, you know, with the rings, shaking the entire world itself, you know, via the energy projection of these rings, the blast power of these rings. It's one of the things, I don't want to speculate too much, but when it comes to Mandarin, he doesn't have that many appearances, honestly, in comics. He has less than 300 appearances, and that's really a little bit when it comes to comic characters. But based on the stuff he can do with his versatile ring, he can make solar flares with the ring, can do solar flares, electromagnetic pulses, electrostatic energies on a planetary scale. The full potential of him, he's more than likely a lower end, either a lower end powerhouse or mid tier powerhouse in Marvel. It's just really hard to rank him. We just know he's Iron Man tier, especially certain armors. Since this video pretty much confirmed he can control gravity, I wouldn't be surprised. He just lacks the visual showings of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could literally create his own black hole based on the versatile stuff this ring can do, creating solar flares. It just kind of makes sense. Not to mention the beings he's competing with. He's fighting Iron Man, a being that has armors that can compete with Gamma Family Hulk members like She-Hulk and stuff, Teen Abomination and the real Abomination. He can battle stuff like this. That's why it's very heavily implied he could definitely do way more than just planet-shattering stuff, even black holes. He more than likely can crush them too with his rings. You know, it's just so much potential. He just lacks screen time, but there's heavy implications. He has some crazy blast power regardless of how you look at it though. We've seen him drown Iron Man in the Dark Force with the darkness manipulation. Blasts are always messing up Iron Man, and if Iron Man's off guard, he would easily get sucker punch one-shotted. So be on guard, Iron Man. Striking Iron Man here almost made Iron Man black out. Iron Man even said, I can't figure out a way to beat him. Messing up his headgear here. Like, it's been a while since he's appeared in comics, but it's more recent-esque century type comics. We've seen him blast and face off against newer suits and stuff. Matter of fact, we've seen him face off against more than one being with super armor, parrying their attacks. On top of all this, when it comes to the raw power of these rings, don't ask, but yeah, Mandarin's rings had like super mechanized super bodies that they state could tear apart the earth itself. And these rings that he usually uses have mechanoid bodies. They talk about how it feels like the whole world is ending. This can give you some narrative on how mighty he could possibly be. But yeah, he lacks appearances. I mean, he's withstood blast. His shielding can withstand blast from beings like Fin Fang Foom, like beings in the race of Fin Fang Foom, beings that can damage Hulkish Gamma family members like Cho Hulk, for example. I just want to just give you a visual of that. Like these McLuhans, beings that are the same race of Fin Fang Foom. This is another angle of what I'm talking about. Like he's literally withstanding the blast from these beings. One can argue Quicksilver's an underrated powerhouse he can withstand hits from, saying he barely felt the hit because Quicksilver can hit you at crazy speed. He can make Quicksilver drowsy with his blast. I would call Psylocke a very strong telepathic powerhouse being that's pretty underrated, I would say. And he was able to move her right here. Does severe harm to Radioactive Man. Wolverine, somebody that has absurd healing. And beings like Cable, who are ridiculously strong. He pretty much gets the best of them here with ice manipulation on this particular situation. I mean, he's been hit by Mjolnir and even right here by Thor using Mjolnir. Like, I'm not saying he's exactly equal to the raw power of Hulk, but he has given Hulk some issues here, for example. Trapping him in cement or concrete. Trying to suffocate him, because this is back when Hulk actually needed to breathe. So trying to beat him in a haxy way. Yeah, but Hulk did break free, though. Just wanted to throw that in there. We're not even going to talk about all the crazy stuff Captain America's shield has withstood. Like, it's gotten upgrades over the years, but even back in the old days when it comes to comics, like in the newer stuff, like it can take blasts from Celestials up and withstand this ridiculous energy. But even before these shield upgrades, he could withstand hits from Thor's hammer. So yeah, it's always been durable like this. Even though beings on this level can dent it, the fact that Mandarin's blast power was implied, I don't know if the shield can survive on the second chop. It lets you know how powerful Mandarin's rings are. This says a lot about what Captain America believes of Mandarin. We know Captain America's shield can take cosmic blasts from cosmic beings and stuff. When it comes to his fighting speed, it should be the standard Marvel stuff when it comes to how fast he is. He's competing with Iron Man over and over again consistently. He has full-blown time dilation to where he can literally slow down time to where he sees everything in slow motion. Rings having time dilation and such, you know. In plenty of his fights with Iron Man, he's had to dodge repulsor blasts, deflect them like I already showed. I mean, he already has superhuman durability taking blasts to the face, but yeah, he can still dodge to the point where you can literally see his combat speed to be able to do stuff like actually visually see the bullets mid-flight to, you know, purposely hit the chains and stuff because he has, you know, just the standard Marvel super speed, combat speed type stuff. Fighting speed way faster than bullets. Just like how in live action, how we see Deadpool deflecting bullets or having the combat speed to cut a bullet mid-flight. Just like how characters we've seen in Marvel do this in live action when it comes to bullets. This kind of stuff is a common thing in Marvel Comics. Mandarin should by default be able to be this fast. Might I add, in this situation, he was missing his hands and he was in a straitjacket. So yeah, he in his base speed, he's just up there being able to dodge bullets and stuff. You know, might I add that Iron Man's suit can increase his combat speed too, and he's always fighting Iron Man in speed. Certain top tier suits Iron Man can use can do stuff in picoseconds, guys. Super soldier tiers can react in a millionth of a second. Like, this type of stuff should apply for Mandarin. Bullets flying towards him, he can react in time, or one could say his shielding can react in time before it hits him. It's talked about here how he can strike within a split second, so it's showing his fighting speed. Having the combat speed to be able to do stuff like this in his base state without the rings. Time dilation just makes it worse. I mean, take this as you will. Users of the ring apparently get Quicksilver level speed. Like, he's just fast. There's a lot about Mandarin that could be explored, especially when it comes to these rings' potential. But what do you guys think? Do you respect Mandarin? He's fast, he's strong, he can blast with a lot of force. What did you learn new? What do you guys think? But before I get going, I gotta say thanks for the donations, everybody. Respect Mandarin. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.